I will admit that I review some pretty high-end bikes on my YouTube channel, and I've had people over the years ask me to please review more moderately priced bikes, and that's what I'm going to do in this video. In fact, I have one subscriber that rants every time I post a review of a $6,000 to $8,000 bike. What you're looking at here is the Sava Hulk 4.0 carbon gravel bike. It's got a Shimano GRX 400 drivetrain, Shimano GRX brakes, Continental 40C tires, and it's full carbon frame, carbon fork, and carbon seat post. Now this is going to be a pretty unique review in a couple aspects. One is I've never reviewed a Chinese carbon bike before. I reviewed Chinese carbon wheels, but not a bike. So we're going to give this bike a shakedown. It's also unique in that this is not my bike. This is going to be my wife's bike. So I have been wanting to get my wife into gravel riding for a while. She mountain bikes, she's been a runner in the past, and I think she's really gonna like gravel riding. It's so convenient for us because we have gravel roads literally right out the back of the neighborhood, and it's just a very convenient form of getting out on a bike, especially if you don't have a lot of time. So it's gonna be fun to get into gravel riding with her. So I'll make a video about her experience getting into gravel for the first time. So I had this company reach out to me to ask if I would want to review this bike. The company is Sava Bikes. I'll put the web address in the description below. And I said, well, how about we do this? How about we get the bike in my wife's size? So she rides a size small. Now, this is definitely too small for me, although I can put the seat post up and ride it with my normal leg extension, which I'm going to do to get the feel. I want to feel what this carbon bike rides like compared to my $6,000 carbon gravel bike that I ride. And so I'm gonna test the ride quality, but we're basically gonna do this review together. Now, she's not gonna join me for this video. This is gonna be my first look. So anytime I get a bike in for a review, I will do a first look where I just show the components up close, talk about the things that I noticed so far, get that out of the way, and then we can focus on the ride quality and whatnot later on in a second review. So with that, I'm going to show this bike up close and show what you get for this currently retailing for $1,800. So $1,800 for full carbon frame fork seat posts, really good components. It's a 2x10 Shimano GRX 400 drivetrain with Shimano GRX brakes. So, I mean, you can't beat it. So let's take a look at the bike. It's got kind of a flat black paint job. It's not too flat. I've mentioned that in some other videos of bikes that have paint jobs that are too flat. I've only had a couple like that, but this one has a really nice looking paint job. It's pretty much like all blacked out, which is pretty cool. And then the Sava logo on it is kind of a brushed metallic look. So it's a good looking bike, it really is. Full carbon frame and fork. I'll focus on the frame first. You also have braze-ons for a rack. So if you wanted to do some bike packing with this bike, it is through axle, front and rear. So it's a very modern bike. You can see the front derailleur is a braze-on. It's got water bottle cages in the triangle. You do not have one underneath, but you do have two water bottle cages here, and you've got the bolts for a bento box at the top. So yeah, it's a really, like I said, really good looking frame. It's got some angles to it that look good too, like on the fork. If you can see that in the video, it's got some angles there. The headset is kind of angled, so they've done a good job making this a really good looking modern gravel bike. Cable routing on the frame is really clean. It's all internal, so you can see the cables go in the front there. The only thing I would have liked to have seen is a full cable housing. So it is interrupted cable housing. So if you were to ever have to change the derailleur cables, you would have to run the wire through the frame. But you can see it's really clean. It's all the way through the frame for the rear brake cable. The front derailleur you really don't see until it comes out right there. It is a threaded bottom bracket, which is nice. A lot of people don't like press fit. I don't mind, but I do have all the tools to work on press fit. So let's look at the components on it. I'll start with the Shimano GRX brakes, and then it's got Shimano GRX front derailleur and also rear derailleur. The cassette is an 11 to 34. Really nice spacing on the cassette, which is what you get with the 2x10 drivetrain. You don't have to have a really wide range of gears. And then the chain rings up front, you've got a 30 and a 46. The carbon seat post goes into the frame using a wedge, and it was actually pretty easy to install. Just takes a 4mm Allen wrench and you can install that wedge. The white on the cover there is the grip paste that I put on the seat post. I need to wipe that off. The tires are Continental Terra Trail. They're 40C tires. I've never actually used these tires, but they look pretty decent. The wheels, I don't see any kind of logo on the rims, but the hubs are a Shimano hub. As I mentioned earlier, Shimano GRX brakes. It does have the cooling fins on the pads. It is a Shimano center lock rotor onto the hubs, which is also a really nice touch. Looking at the cockpit, the handlebars do have a slight flare. It's not very dramatic. I like a flared bar, especially on a gravel bike. And this one, I think my wife's gonna like it. But yeah, I like the handlebars. The stem is a 100mm stem. The saddle is not really a name brand saddle, but it does have a nice shape to it, and the leather is nice and soft. I will mention that when I gave them the word that I would like to review the bike, I had it within 2 or 3 business days. So they have distributors within the United States. So if you ever order one of these, you'll get it pretty quickly. And it came really well boxed up, and it did not require a lot of assembly. It's just one of those assemblies where you put on the wheels, put on the handlebar, air up the tires, and you're riding. So I like that. I've been building a few bikes lately, and to have one that didn't require a lot of assembly was actually really nice. So I will report back on what this bike is like, what my wife thinks about it, and more importantly, we'll do the review together. So she'll make a rare appearance on my YouTube channel. She's one of my favorite people on planet Earth, so it'll be fun to do the review together and really to see what she thinks about getting into gravel riding. Again, I think she's really gonna like it. So stay tuned to the channel. In a month or two, I'll post another video of this bike. So there you go, the Sava Hulk 4.0 full carbon bike with Shimano GRX 400 components. 1,800 bucks. So far, so good on this bike. All right, so I'll catch you in an upcoming video. Thanks for watching.